Hello, friends. I'm Samir and I welcome you all to your own YouTube channel, Aryabhatta Classes. Friends, today we are going to discuss about probability distributions. So, the topic for today's discussion is probability distributions. So, before moving towards the concept of probability distributions, first of all, let's come to know a very important term which is going to be used in this topic, and that is random variable. Now, what is a random variable? A random variable has very different meanings for different purposes, but the pure mathematical definition of random variable is that the random variable, which is denoted as usually denoted as capital X on a sample space S, is nothing but a function. So, the random variable x on the sample space S is a function, okay, and it is a function from the sample space S to the real number R. Okay, so the random variable is a function between the sample space S and the real number R. Now, if the range of x is countable, that is in one-to-one correspondence with the subset of the set of natural numbers n, then the random variable x is called a discrete random variable. Okay, friends, and here in this total topic we are going to discuss about discrete random variables. So, whenever we are saying random variable here in this topic to be discussed, it means discrete. And when it is called discrete, if the range of this function x is a countable set and it is also a subset of the natural number set n. That means, although the random variable x is a set or it is a function from the set sample space S to the real number set R, here we are going to discuss only that part of the random variable which is related from the sample space S to a subset of natural numbers. That means, we are not going to assign all real numbers here. We are going to use few natural numbers, a countable number of natural numbers here, which comes under the name of discrete random variables. So, why natural numbers are assigned here in case of discrete random variable, that will come to know very soon. Before that, let us discuss one example of random variable. Now, before moving for it, let me tell you another word, that is trial, which will be used frequently in this topic. So, what is trial? So, trial is each time an experiment if performed is a trial. If we are doing an experiment, then every time we are doing an experiment, that particular experiment is called one trial. Okay, so trial is nothing but performing an experiment once. So, come to the example then. Consider a random experiment consisting of 3 independent trials with outcomes either a success S or a failure F in each trial. Okay, so here we are doing one random experiment, and in that random experiment we are doing 3 independent trials, and that means these 3 trials do not depend on each other, and the outcome in these trials will be either a success or a failure. Success we are representing by the letter S and failure we are writing as capital F. Let us do one thing. Let us assign a number 1 to the success and 0 for failure. Okay. Then this 3 trial experiment, random experiment, its sample space S will be like this. It will contain 8 elements, and you can see the elements in the sample space. It is called 111, and you can clearly understand what is this 111 for. 111 is for success, success and success. That means in each trial he is getting 11 success. The second element is 110. That means success, success and failure. So in this way we are getting only 8 possible outcomes. So collecting all the 8 possible outcomes, we are making the sample space S. Now any number of random variables can be defined on S. On this total sample space S, we can make any number of random variables. It depends on us that in which way we are defining it. It depends upon our definitions that we are setting for it. For example, we may consider the total number of successes as a random variable because it takes the values either 3, 2, 1 or 0. That means, say I am setting that here 1 represents success and 0 represents failure. So let the random variable x here represents the total number of successes. Okay, so the random variable capital X means the number of successes. So the random variable value here will be either 3, 2, 1 or 0, means the 3 number of successes or 2 number of successes, 1 number of successes or 0 successes in a particular random experiment that random variable contains. For example, the random variable of the outcome 111 will be 3. That means it has 3 successes in total. Okay. Now the random variable associated with the outcome 011 will be 2 because its value will be 2 because it has 2 successes. So in that way we can see the random variable of the event or the element 000 will be 0 because it has in total no success at all. So in this way, if the random variable x represents the total number of successes in any trial, then the values of the random variable will be here in this case will be either 3 or 2 or 1 or 0. So we can say that x takes the values 3, 2, 1 or 0. Now this is nothing but the values of the random variables in this particular experiment of 3 trials. Now if you associate or attach one probability to this random variable, so a probability can be assigned to each of these values of the random variable x. Now we can see what is the size of this sample space. Size of the sample space means the number of elements it contains. Definitely I told you at the beginning that it contains 8 elements. So the size of S or size of the sample space is 8. Okay, and so the probability of the random variable 3, the probability of the trials where the random variable is 3 will be equals to 1 by 8. How it is 1 by 8? Because the random variable, the number of trials where the random variable is 3 is only one trial. You can see in only one trial we are getting 3 as the result of the random variable, which is for 111, and in no other cases we are getting the random variable 3. So we are getting 3 in only one cases, in one trial. So it will be this 1 by the total number of trials are 8. So it will be 1 by 8. Now the probability where the random variable value is 2 will be, we have to see in how many trials we have obtained the random variable 2. It is 1, 2 and 3. In 3 different trials we obtain the random variable 2. So it will be 3 by total number of trials is 8, 3 by 8. Again, the probability of where the random variable is 1 is also 1, 2 and 3. So, it will be 3 by 8, and the probability of the random variable when it is 0 is only one case where it is we are getting 0 as the result. So, it will be 1 by 8. Okay friends. So, here we can notice one more thing, that if we add all these 4 possible probabilities of random variables, we are getting the result as 1. That means the sum of all the probabilities of all the random variables values here obtained is 1. So, from these examples we can come to some more conclusion about the concept of random variables, and that is probability mass function. Okay friends, you can see probability mass functions is a new term that we are going to discuss, and the concept of which we have already obtained from the previous topic here. Now, probability mass function, what is that? I told you it is already associated with the previous topic, and our previous topic was random variables. So, let x be a discrete random variable. I told you already the meaning of discrete random variable. Random variable x is a function from the sample space S to real number R, but discrete random variable is such a function, special function, where the sample space S is related to a subset of natural numbers, a countable subset of natural numbers. You can see, in place of taking whole real numbers in the range set, we are taking only a small subset of countable subset of natural numbers. That means we are assigning only natural numbers to the random variables here in a countable manner. That is why it is called discrete random variable. So, let x be a discrete random variable which takes the possible values as x1, x2 up to xn. With each xi, we associate a real number pi, small pi I am writing, which is equals to the probability of the random variable x is equals to xi, where I is from 1 to up to n. That means with each of the values, what are xi here? Xi's are the values of the random discrete random variable x, and I told you it is a discrete random variable. That means the values of x1, x2, xn, these all will be 1 natural numbers. So, with each of these values of the random variable x, which is xi, we associate another real number which is pi, and which is nothing but the probability of the random variable for a particular value of xi, which is called probability of xi, and which also satisfy the following conditions. The following two conditions it should satisfy, and the conditions are: the probability of for each of these random variable values should be greater than or equals to 0, okay, for each and every I, values of I. And the second condition is the summation of all these probabilities should be equals to 1. If these two conditions are satisfied, then the function p of x, which is nothing but the probability of the random variable x for a particular value of small x, then this particular value of function is called the probability function of the random variable x, which is also called the probability mass function. Okay. Now, the topic is, if this is probability mass function, then what is probability distribution of x? So, probability distribution of x is the set of all ordered pair of the random values x and its probability functions, probability mass functions. So, if we take the values of the random variable at the first position and the probability mass functions at the second position and make a pair, and you collect all such pairs and make a set of it, then that set or collection is called probability distribution of the random variable x. Okay friends. So, what is probability mass function? Probability mass function is nothing but the probability value of the random variable x, and the speciality of probability mass function is that sum of all the values, probability values of probability mass function is greater than or equals to 0. It is either positive or 0, it cannot be less than 0. And secondly, the sum of all the probabilities should be equals to 1. Okay. Now let us use the concept of these probability mass functions and discuss one example based on it. So what the example says, a random variable x has the following probability distributions. So it is clearly given in the example or in the question that in this table represents a probability distribution for a random variable values x. Okay. So the random variables values x are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and their probability mass function values are given like this. For 0 it is 0.1, for 1 it is 0.3, for 2 it is k, for 3 it is 0.2, and for 4 it is 3k, 3 into k. Now the question is to find the value of k. If this total system, this table, the distribution represents a probability distribution of random variable x, then what should be the value of k? Now we know that as it is representing a probability distributions, then by the second property, the second conditions of property says that sum of all the probabilities should be equals to 1. So let us do one thing, add all these 5 probabilities given, and that should be equals to 1. Why? Because it represents or it is obtained from the probability distributions. Now if you will add it, you will get 4k plus 0.6 as equals to 1. You can take 0.6 to the right side and subtract it, and you will get the value of k as, after some calculation, you will get 0.1. So here we have used the concept of probability distributions for the random variable x to obtain the value of an unknown k used in this table. Okay friends, now let us move further for the new portions, that is what is the mean and variance of the random variables. So here we are not going to discuss the details or derivation of this basic terms or formulas. We are just discussing the main formula which we will use for our further calculations. Derivations we can discuss in any other video. Now the mean and the variance of random variables. Now let x be a random variable having the following probability distributions. So you can see this is the probability distributions. Now what is probability distribution? Probability distribution means a table where random variable values and their probability values are given. Okay, and this table is called probability distribution. Okay. Now see, the values of x are given as the values of, what is x here? X represents the values of the random variable x. Okay, means the small x are different random values of the function random variable capital X. Okay, so what are the values, random variable values of x here? They are x1, x2 up to xn. Now their respective probability functions are p1, p2 up to pn correspondingly. Now the mean of the random variable x, which is represented as small x bar, its formula is summation of all xi into p of xi, where I is from 1 to n. That means you do just one thing, you multiply this random variable with its respective probability values, that means x1 into p1 plus x2 into p2. In this way you find out xn into pn, then add them all together and you will get the mean of the random variable x. Now the variance of x, the random variable x, it is denoted by the letter sigma square, which is equals to summation of xi minus x bar whole square into p of xi, where I is from 1 to n, or which is also equals to, in a more simplified formula, it is summation of xi square into p of xi, where I is from 1 to n, minus x bar square. Okay. So we can see the table and we can adopt any of the formula we want to use for the calculation of the variance of the random variable x, which is sigma square. Now the standard deviation of the random variable x is denoted by the letter sigma, which is nothing but the positive square root of the variance of x. Variance of x is denoted by sigma square, and the standard deviation of the random variable x is nothing but its positive square root, which is only sigma. Okay. So getting the positive square root of these two formulas, we can get the standard deviation of the random variable x. Now the last term that are we going to use here is the expectation of the random variable x. Expectation of the random variable x is denoted by the symbol or letter capital E in the bracket capital X, which is nothing but the mean of the random variable x. Okay. So mean of the random variable x, that means you add all the random variable values and divide by the total number of values, that is n, and you will get the expectations of the random variable x, which is quite easy to understand. Okay friends, now let us move on for our very important topic, that is Bernoulli's trials. Friends, trials we discussed already. Trials means one experiment, one single experiment where we will get some result. So a single experiment is called one trial. So it is Bernoulli's trial, named by the mathematician Bernoulli. So what is the speciality of this special type of trials, which is called Bernoulli's trial? Now trials of a random experiment are called Bernoulli's trial if the following conditions are satisfied. So you can see 4 different conditions are given, and if all these 4 conditions are satisfied together, then we can call that trial of that particular random experiment as the Bernoulli's trial. Okay friends. Now what are those 4 conditions that it has to satisfy to become a Bernoulli's trial? The first condition is that the number of the trials is or should be finite. Okay. Trials can be infinite also, as we know. We can do as many experiments or trials as you want. No, but nothing can stop you. Okay, but in case of Bernoulli's trials, this number of trials should be finite. Secondly, the trials are independent of each other. That means the result of one trial should not hamper the result of the other trial. And when this happens, when these trials are independent of each other, this happens where, say for example, if we are tossing a coin, that means if you are getting a head in one trial, that doesn't mean that it will affect the result in the second trial. In the second trial also we can get either a head or a tail. It doesn't matter, it doesn't depends on the result of the first trial. Now similarly, this independency of trials, for that I can give you another example. Say I am in a basket, I have 2 different colors of balls, few black balls, few white balls, and I am drawing a particular color ball from that. So drawing a particular color of ball from that basket will have some probability. Then after that I will go for the second draw. Now if I am going for the second draw, then 2 cases will arise, that I may put that previous ball in the basket again for the second draw, or before going for the second draw, or I may not drop in the basket. If I am putting that previous drawn ball again in the basket and then going for the second draw, then again the total number of chances will remain the same for the second trial also. Okay, the event size or the sample size will not change here for the second trial, and that is the case where the trials will be independent of each other. But if I am keeping the ball out of the basket and then going for the second trial, then the trials will now, the result of the trials will not be same again. Okay, so it is a dependent case. So that we will discuss further. Now the third condition says that the outcomes are dichotomous by nature. The outcomes are dichotomous by nature. The outcomes should be dichotomous by nature. What is dichotomous? Dichotomous means you will get either a success or a failure. In that particular experiment or trial, you may get either a success or a failure. So one question may come to your mind that whether we will always get a success or a failure. It will always happen in every experiment. So in that way I can tell you that we have to make the problem, or we have to build the problem, or we have to convert the problem in such a way that it will be obviously to understand that we are getting a success or failure. If we can change the question or the problem in such a manner that it will become dichotomous, means it will represent either a success or a failure, then we can go for Bernoulli's trials problems. Let me give you an example. Say I am drawing one particular color of cards from a pack of 52 cards. Okay, say I am drawing a black color card from a pack of 52 cards. Then here I can divide this problem of drawing a black color card from a pack of 52 cards as in such a way that drawing the black color card or getting the black color card as a result will be a success, and if not getting a black color card, then that will become a failure. So in this way I can manage the question in such a way that the question will look as dichotomous. So it depends on us in which way we are converting it. Now the fourth property says that the probability of the success or the failure in each trial is constant. Yes, in every trial the probability of the success or failure should not change, it should remain the same. And that happens in the case of, as I told you, due to the independency. That means it is always a problem with replacement. It is always with replacement problem, means that means always we are putting the object or ball or things or cards again in the bundle or in the basket from where we have drawn previously to make the sample size as it was before. So in this way the chances of the getting the success and failure in each trial will remain constant. So if these four conditions, as I told you, are satisfied, then that type of trial is called Bernoulli's trial. Now let me give you few examples on Bernoulli's trial. Just tossing a coin any number of times, you can see tossing a coin any number of times, it comes under the category of Bernoulli's trial. Okay, this also satisfies all these four conditions. Now drawing 3 balls successively from a bag of 5 red and 6 blue balls with replacement. I told you this word with replacement is very much important to make it a Bernoulli's trial problem. Okay, this second example also you can check yourself, it comes under the Bernoulli's trial category, satisfy all the 4 conditions. Now one question may come to your mind that tossing a coin any number of times, how it become the number of trials is finite here. We can toss the coin any number of times. Yes, we can toss the coin any number of times, but we can stop also ourselves at any number of times. Okay, it is not that it is automatically being tossed. We can stop it any number of times in a finite number of times as we want. Okay, so you can check yourselves that whatever we have discussed about the theories and formulas in this video, hope you understand it and we'll use it in our forthcoming problems that we are going to discuss. So thanks for watching this video.